If you're an author or plan to be one, get excited because this podcast is for you. Book Marketing Mentors is the only podcast dedicated to helping you successfully market and sell your book. If you're ready for empowering conversations with successful marketing mavens, then grab a coffee or tea and listen in to your host, international best-selling author Susan Friedman.
Welcome to Book Marketing Mentors, the weekly podcast where you learn proven strategies, tools, ideas, and tips from the masters. Every week, I introduce you to a marketing master who will share their expertise to help you market and sell more books. Today, my special guest is known globally as the creator of the Profitable Online Challenges formula. Alina Vincent is a business strategist, speaker, and best-selling author of Teach Your Expertise book. Her Profitable Online Challenges formula has helped her grow her business from zero to over $1 million in just 4 years. Alina is passionate about helping entrepreneurs package and monetize their knowledge and expertise to create a leveraged and scalable business. Experts hire her for strategic advice and simple step-by-step approach to creating successful online programs, engaged Facebook communities, and profitable 5-day challenges. Alina, what an absolute pleasure it is to welcome you to the show, and thank you for being this week's guest expert and mentor.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me, Susan.
Well, as I told you just before we came on the air, Alina, I've been doing this show for 5 years, and we have never talked about challenges. When I heard you for the first time talking about this, I said, I know that I just have to have Alina on the show. So let's really jump in and talk about online challenges. And really, why are they such a hot trend at the moment? Because I believe they are, aren't they?
They are huge. I can't even open my email every day without seeing 2 or 3 people inviting me to their challenges, which is so interesting because when I first started with challenges about 7 years ago, nobody even knew what they were and nobody was doing them. And now it seems like anywhere you turn, people are talking about 5-day challenges, people are talking about online challenges, Facebook group challenges, and so forth. So it's definitely a huge trend that over the last couple of years gained huge popularity. And the reason it works so well and the reason people are doing it is because it integrates everything that we are searching for right now in the online space. It gives you something to learn. So it's an information product. It's a mini training where you take a group of people and you teach them and you produce some results for them in a very short period of time. It also provides community. So my formula for 5-day challenges, we always do them as a part of a community. In my case, it's always a part of being in a Facebook group. It gives people an opportunity to connect with other like-minded people who also challenge with the same problem or want to achieve the same results or want to establish new habits. And the third piece is the engagement. There's so much marketing over the last 10 years that's been so passive, like all of those automated webinars and just go there and read this or download this PDF, that people are missing the engagement factor. And when you're doing a challenge, you have 3 levels of engagement that you're actually hitting. You get to engage with the author of the challenge. So you actually get to interact with them. You get to engage with their content and you get to engage with that community. And if you have those 3 levels of engagement, for people, this is what develops that trust factor. This is what develops this, oh my gosh, where have you been all my life? I love the way you taught me. I love how I'm already getting the results. What's next? Creates that wave of anticipation. It creates the desire to work with you and find out more. As a business owner, I would not have the business that I have right now if I was not doing the challenges.
Whoa, that's pretty amazing. I'm just thinking, if everybody's doing it, is there still this desire to want to participate in them if it's just another challenge?
But that's kind of like saying, that's just another podcast, right? You wouldn't stop doing your podcast just because thousands of other people are doing podcasts. And there's a definite division between challenges that are done well and really thought out and challenges that people are doing just because they thought everybody else was doing it. If you create a quality challenge, they will always be popular and you will always create results for your business. So last year, we've done 5 challenges as a part of our yearly promotional marketing. This year, we'll probably do 5, maybe even 6, because there's such a huge driver to bring new people into your world. They're an amazing way to turn complete strangers into your forever loving fans in just 5 days. And I would never stop doing the challenges. But again, the more challenges that people are experiencing, the more sophisticated they become in understanding what a good challenge is versus the challenge just was slapped together. The same thing like you'd probably say was the podcast. The same thing that you'd probably agree with me was the books, right? Just because there's a whole bunch of books on Amazon doesn't mean you shouldn't write your own book. But good books will stand out, good podcasts will stand out, and good challenges will stand out.
What a great response. Talk to us about what are the components of a good challenge?
Good question. On a logistical end, the challenges are super simple if you're looking at them without thinking too deep what's going on behind the scenes. The format that I teach for putting together a 5-day challenge is basically you have 5 videos that you deliver in a pre-recorded format over the 5 days, and you teach people how to form a new skill, how to achieve a certain goal, how to create a new habit, or how to shift something in their mindset. So you set up the final result that you want to achieve in the challenge, and you record a mini training, 5 videos of about 5-10 minutes in length. It's a very micro learning concept. So you're only giving people bite-sized ideas, but in a way that delivers the result, the way that moves them forward. So when people just surfacely look at challenges and say, well, of course I can do this. I can slap 5 videos together really easily, and I can just deliver it over 5 days in my Facebook group. But if you look underneath, if you look at what actually makes challenges that convert, what makes challenges that allow you to fill your programs, get new clients, sell your books, fill your events, then there's a lot more thinking that goes underneath the challenge. You need to make sure you have the right topic. You need to make sure that the challenge takes your people on a journey that creates the desire for that next step. You need to make sure there's constant engagement and interaction. And we do it through gamification, and we do it through bite-sized content, and we do it with interaction through the community in the Facebook group. And you want to make sure that people are experiencing wins every day. Nobody wants more information. What people are craving right now is implementation and taking action and seeing results. So a well-designed challenge will give people enough information every day that they can actually take that next step and feel the sense of achievement. If you don't have that, the challenge will fall apart. It will just be glorified 5 videos that not going to move your potential clients towards becoming your clients. Hopefully that answers your question. I can talk about it for hours.
I can see. It's fantastic. I'm like lapping it all up. It's like,
Yes.
okay. Those wins, what might be considered a win in terms of, as you said, these bite-sized pieces of information that you share with people, but you want them to have a win. So what is a win?
Great question. I love it. Let's use a specific example. Do you have a challenge in mind? Would you like to play around the ideas what your challenge could be?
My challenge would be, well, my subject, as I had mentioned before, is going from unknown author to author authority.
Okay. And that's what you're selling, right? So when you're coming up with the topic for a challenge, you want to take one step back. So what do people need to realize before they want to work with you? Or what is the prerequisite before they say yes to you?
The prerequisite, there's an underlying understanding of really what a book can do for you once you've published it. There are a lot of misconceptions with regard to publishing books and what they can do without you doing any marketing of your own.
Okay. Again, without going into too many details, one idea for your challenge could be create your profit plan for your book or something like that. Like, I'm not saying it's an ideal name, but the idea would be the challenge would give them a taste of what would it like to be working with you and actually implementing all the stuff that you teach them, how to become more known. But the challenge, the 5-day challenge, when we're thinking of a challenge, first of all, it needs to be something that gives people a sense of accomplishment and wins, which we'll get to in a second. And a second, it needs to be something doable in 5 days. So people feel that, oh, wow, you've promised something and you've delivered it right away. That's how you create the trust, even with strangers, and then they want to say yes to you. In your case, you could potentially have a 5-day challenge on how to create a profit plan for your book or something around those lines. So your first day could be just create the marketing message for your book. Like, who is it for? What kind of results it's going to deliver? What is the benefit of reading the book? And doing that work would be the win for that first day. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So then you're going, okay, what would be the next thing I need to teach them? And this is kind of your genius. This is your expertise. Whatever that second day is, the assignment at the end of that day would be take that next step. And it could be create a plan of 10 different ways you can promote this book. Or you can create a plan of creating a whole entire website that's going to have a amazing SEO that's going to bring a whole bunch of traffic for people who would want to download that book. It could be using Amazon ads or anything else, like whatever it is that you teach every day, you would give people a teeny little new concept and have them do something around that. Does that help?
It really does. I love that idea.
Some of the people, they say, like, how tangible does it have to be? I have a lot of clients who create challenges around mindset changes. And the win could be, wow, I have a new belief now, or I understand how I can think differently about something. Or a win could be, I've actually wrote a blog, or I've actually posted something on Facebook, or I've done my very first Facebook Live. So the wins could be tangible or intangible, but measurable, where people feel a sense of accomplishment.
It's so funny. You must have been reading my mind, because I was actually thinking that mindset is so important when it comes to considering yourself as an expert in your field. And the first day on my retreat, my 3-day virtual retreat, we talk about mindset in lots of different ways, because there are different hang-ups that people have about being seen as an expert. And some people don't even like saying that they're an expert, but they have expertise, and there's that differentiation there.
Absolutely. And you can mix and match. For example, if we were talking about your hypothetical challenge, your day 1 or day 2 could be that mindset. So you're going to teach about how important it is to recognize and own your expertise. You can tell them how important it is to talk about their expertise. And their assignment could be make a statement on Facebook or make a statement somewhere that says, hey, I'm an expert and I claim my expertise and I'm really good at XYZ. That would be the assignment.
That's beautiful. And that, as you said, that's so simple, but it's that little win that people are getting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about charging for these challenges? I mean, you're giving a lot of information. Would this be something that you would charge for? Many of the challenges I see are for free. Talk to us about that element.
Yes, and this has been coming up a lot in the last couple of years. When I was first starting out, all of my challenges, except for the very first one, were free challenges. And right now, there's sort of this, like, some people charge for it, and they charge very little. It could be $7, it could be $27, it could be $97. So it's a very low investment. Some people do it free. For me, the distinction is if you already have established following, if you already have a list of 10,000 people or 50,000 people, if you already have the reputation and credibility and the authority where you snap your fingers and you say, hey, I'm doing a challenge, who wants in? And you know for sure a couple thousand people will join in the first 5 minutes, you should probably charge for it, because it's a great way to filter your community, to find the ones who want to learn something right away, and they're going to be your main action takers, and you're making some money up front, right? That means you already have the credibility and trust of your community because you've established it over the years. Now, if you're first starting out, if you might not even have a Facebook group right now, you don't have any following, and you've never sold much online as far as the digital content, you should not charge for your challenges. And even to this day, I don't charge for my 5-day challenges. My formula, the original formula that I've created 5, 6, 7 years ago, is all about using challenges for lead generation. That's what allows you to talk to people who don't know anything about you, who don't know what you do or how awesome you are come into your sphere of influence. And over 5 days, you can magically transform them into your lifelong fans and followers and clients. There's two things to look at it. If you're looking to quickly monetize your existing community, do it as a paid one. If you're looking to grow your list, if you're looking to grow your following, if you're looking to grow your authority, you want to do it free because that gives people that appetizer, that taste of what is it like to work with you. Because right now in the marketplace, you probably know there's a lot of this distrust. Like, hey, when people say, buy my program for $2,000, the immediate thing will be like, will it work for me? I've invested money before and I didn't get the results. So by offering people a free challenge, first of all, it's an easy yes. It's a great way to grow your list, grow your Facebook following, growing your group, even growing your messaging bots. This allows you to take people who are strangers to you, who don't have that trust factor established with you yet, and show them that you can produce results in a very short period of time. And what happens, something clicks after about 3 or 4 days and people say, wow, I'm getting more out of this free training that I've gotten after working with my coach for 6 months. Or I'm getting more done in these few short days than I have done in the last 3 months in my business. And people immediately start looking at what happened. And what happened is they were following the directions, they were getting results, and they're experiencing those wins. So they will want more of that. So it's a great formula. It's a great recipe for taking people who are cautious, who are not going to just throw their money away the way they feel, and lets them taste and try something for free before they say yes to investing with you.
One of the things that I've found, and I'm sure you have too, is that people sign up for things when it's free, but don't necessarily show up. I feel if there's a little bit of money exchanged, that there's some skin in the game and people approach the task, the challenge with a whole different mindset. What do you think about that?
Yes, let's talk about it. So there's a couple of things. First of all, the whole idea of the challenge is very different from an idea of a free lead magnet like a PDF. I'm sure you've seen it and probably have done it yourself as well, where you download a checklist or a template or some kind of a worksheet, ebook, and you never done anything with it. It's just still stored on some kind of a folder in your computer. We download it, it makes us happy in the moment, and we don't do anything with it. The difference between a lead magnet like that and that challenge is the challenge is super highly interactive and engaging. Part of my formula is we do daily prizes. We do big grand prize. There's rewards for people to show up and post. And because there's a community, you have this added accountability and added support system. Challenges are way more well attended than people downloading other free things. Another thing is people make a mistake of thinking that if it's free, all you're going to get is a whole bunch of freebie seekers, and they're not going to do anything. They're not going to pay for anything because all they're looking for is free stuff. In actuality, what happens with the challenge, because you're getting people into action right away, is you're attracting action takers, not freebie seekers. And specifically, challenge works as a really good filter for people who are ready to take action right now and actively searching for the solution you're providing. Not only you're getting action takers, but you're getting action takers that are ready for that next step. Even if not every single person participates and completes the challenge, the people who reach the end are your best ideal clients. I don't know any other filter that brings you that group of people who are ready to say yes to that next step, whether it's buying your book or attending your event or signing up for your program or becoming a one-on-one client. Here's the really interesting fact, and this has been true for me for the last 5 years that I've been tracking this and for a whole bunch of my clients. If you do a webinar the day after the challenge ends, your conversions on that webinar triple for your challenge participants. You can do identical webinar to the rest of your list and your conversions will not be as high because people are highly motivated to take that next step and they are in action and they've experienced the results, they've experienced the wins, and they kind of got attached to you and they don't want to let you go. So they're a lot more likely to say yes. So the same exact webinars will convert 3 times higher after a challenge.
It's fascinating. Now, would that webinar be a freebie or would that be, again, a small charge?
that would be a free webinar. So we usually do some kind of a free training. So the challenge-based launch formula is you do a 5-day challenge. At the end of that 5-day challenge, you give people a day or two to kind of to wrap up and to do the grand prize drawing. So people have the ability to rewatch the videos if they missed anything. And then the whole entire training goes away. And then we invite people to the next step. So again, we design the challenge to lead to that next step. And the webinars that we're doing after that are free. So the webinar is how you make your offer. And the offer can be made just simply through the emails. If you don't want to do webinars, you can do Facebook Lives. You can invite people to have strategy sessions with you. So I have clients at all different levels, people who have multi-million-dollar businesses and people who are just starting out and this is their first year of business. So depending on your technical skills, depending on what comfort level you have, you can always use challenges to promote your offer. But we don't make any offers during the challenge. The challenge is truly, purely, I promise to give you this result, and I'm going to give you everything I can to help you get that result. After that, we're inviting them to find out a little bit more about that next step, and that's when we actually make the offer.
So that's really interesting that you don't make the offer on the challenge. There's a next step after that.
That's what makes my formula so different from other people that I see doing challenges and not necessarily super successfully, is when I started doing challenges 7 years ago, there was already this tiredness of webinars. Like, oh, this is just another webinar. All they're going to do is sell me every day, sell me all day long, and all they want to do is get my money. So when I created my challenge, I wanted to be that pure teaching, like where I'm just going to show up and I'm going to give you my best. I didn't want to mix up the offer in it because I didn't want to have this tiredness of like, oh, it's just another way for you to invite me to your program. My challenge is a pure 5-day training that I'm giving away for free to showcase what it would be like to work with me if you invested with me. And because of that, there's that pent up demand. There's this need to take the next step. That's why you want to immediately make the offer after the 5-day challenge is over. But to me, and what my clients love about my formula is you're basically staying in integrity the whole entire time, because you're not necessarily, of course, you're going to be seeding. Of course, you're going to be creating that desire for your offer, but you're not going to stop on day 4 and say, well, and if you want to have the rest, buy my program. That's not what happens during my challenges. And that's why people love my challenges. That's why we have thousands of people participating in them every time, and they're super extra profitable on the end.
And you talked about the fact that these are pre-recorded rather than live.
Yes. Want me to tell you why?
Yes.
Okay. That's another difference I see right now. A lot of people started doing them as like Facebook Live. I'm just going to come and teach you every day for 5 days or for 7 days. There's probably 3 or 4 reasons I can tell you why we do pre-recorded videos. First of all, it allows you to have that bite-sized content. If you've ever tried to teach anything on a Facebook Live, you know you're going to take longer. You're going to go off on tangents. You're going to respond to people's interactions. You're going to be answering their questions. So you will immediately, like most people I know who do those live type of trainings during their challenges, they end up doing an hour, 2, or even 3-hour videos every single day. And that's where they lose a lot of people, because none of us have extra an hour or 2 or 3 every single day to commit to a 5-day challenge. So the drop off in those challenges is huge. If you do the pre-recorded, it's a lot easier to stay on point. It's a lot easier to get to those gems and just talk about that information that people need to take that next step. So it's much, much cleaner and much more shorter and much more consumable. And that's why people stick all the way to the end of the challenge, because they can do it in just minutes a day. That's number 1. Number 2, creating it that way allows us to repurpose that challenge in lots of different ways, because it's clean content. After the challenge is over, you basically have 5 videos. Now you have a training that you can decide to sell, that you can decide to give as a bonus for something else. It's really hard to repurpose Facebook Lives, because if you're not there in the moment, it totally feels like, why are we talking about this for an hour? Why are we answering all of these questions? It's really hard to repurpose, and it has a lot lower perceived value. Another reason for that is, as I said in my formula, so we give people access to that free training for 5 days, and we give them a couple more days to catch up. But after that, the whole entire training goes away, which means we'll remove the videos from our website. And then people are kind of gently nudged along to the next step that we're offering for them, which is usually free webinars. If you are doing Facebook Lives and you're doing them inside of your Facebook group, what happens is people feel they've co-created that content. People feel that they've interacted with somebody else in the comments, or they've asked a question, or their specific question was there. And it's really hard to remove it out of the group, because what happens is people feel like you took something that was theirs. It's a lot different, like totally subconsciously, people feel like if you delete those videos, that you took something away from them that belongs to them. You leave the challenge, and if you remove the videos, you're leaving people kind of upset with you. Maybe they don't even realize why, versus feeling super elated about everything they've accomplished. There's more reasons, but those probably.
I was just going to say that there's so much psychology behind all of this that I didn't even realize that. Oh my goodness, this has just opened up a whole new can of worms for me. Let's touch on the biggest mistake that you find people make in this arena.
Sure. The top mistake that I see people make, and this is true regardless of how long people have been in business, regardless of how big their business is, it's just kind of the mistake that people make across the board. And the mistake is making the topic of your challenge is too similar to the topic of the offer you want to make. When people come to me and say, is this a good topic for a challenge? My response is always, that's the wrong question to ask. You need to tell me what you're trying to sell at the end of the challenge. What are you leading people to? And then we can take one step back and see what the right topic is. The mistake that people make is they say, I'm trying to sell, let's say I'm selling a course on how to start a podcast. And then they do a challenge, how to start a podcast. Because if you're just creating a lead magnet, like an ebook, that's what you would do. You would take exactly the same topic and you talk about it in a big picture way that doesn't get people all of the details. When it comes to challenge, you cannot do it because challenge is experiential. Challenge should be designed to get people the result. So imagine what happens if you're trying to sell your program on how to start a podcast and you have a challenge on how to start a podcast. After those 5 days, if you do a good job and you're giving people the right first steps, what they're going to do is they're going to say, great, this was awesome. This was amazing. You are so wonderful. Now I know everything I need to know, and I don't need to buy your program because you just given me everything you need. Why would I pay $1,000 or $2,000 for more of the same? Because we as human beings, we don't know what we don't know, and we assume that we know more as soon as we have just a little bit of information. That is, I would say, at least 50% of people who come to me, join my program and want to work with me, and they've done challenges before, that is why their challenges fail. So they say, I created a challenge, people enrolled, it was a great topic, they had great time, they participated, and when I made my offer, nobody bought. Or their results were way, way, way lower than they expected. And the main reason is their challenge jeopardized their offer because they made it too close. Remember the question I asked you at the beginning? What is prerequisite, or what do people need to understand before they can say yes to your program? That's how you want to approach your topic. And there's lots of different other ways to think about it. But the topic of your challenge needs to be, the promise of your challenge needs to be different than the promise of your offer. For example, I have a program on how to create fast, easy, and profitable online challenges. I don't want to create a challenge on how to do a challenge. As an example, I have a challenge coming up called Visibility Kickstarter. That's the topic that my audience wants. It's something that they definitely interested in. It's one of our most popular challenges that helped me generate millions of dollars of income. So it's a visibility Kickstarter. So the promise is I will show you how to get more visible online in just 5 days. After it's over, the next step, that bridge you're creating is, now that you know how to get visible, do you know how to monetize that visibility? So let me show you how you can monetize that visibility using 5-day challenges. So it's kind of like you following that formula of one problem, one solution, one problem, one solution. So that's why you don't want to have the topics of your challenge and your program be too similar.
Wow. Again, I'm just blown away with all this information, and I know that our listeners have to be as well. Alina, tell us how our listeners can contact you to find out more about your profitable online challenge formula, because I'm sure they're chomping at the bit to find out.
Sure. Well, first of all, I have a very special gift for you listeners. For those of you who are listening right now and like, oh, I want to get started with challenges, but what does it take? What do I need to create before, during, and after? How do I monetize it? What are all of the little moving pieces and the details? So I have a really special offer for you, and it's my profitable challenge checklist. It has the actual checklist of all of the elements you need to have in place and create in order to run your challenge. It's something that I've taken directly out of my challenges program. And it's exactly the same checklist my team and I use every time we run a new challenge. So you're going to get access to that. Susan, I'm sure you're going to post it somewhere in the notes.
I will. I'll put that in the show notes because that's such a generous offer. Thank you.
Perfect. So one of the best ways to kind of get in touch with me is just download that checklist. It's going to give you some more definitions of what the challenges are and what are some of the different types of challenges you can run, and give you that checklist of all of the essential elements your challenge needs to have. If you want to just come and hang out with me, you can always join my Business Owners Who Think Big group on Facebook. It's a group with over 30,000 business owners. We allow promotions. There's lots of ways to showcase your knowledge and expertise. And that's where I run every single one of my challenges. If you want to experience for yourself, go join my Business Owners Who Think Big group on Facebook. I'm sure within a month or so, there's going to be a challenge coming up.
Excellent. I love it. This is just dynamite information, listeners. This episode, once it's transcribed, will be a book all of its own with all the the valuable pieces of wisdom that you've shared. But I'm not going to let you go without our golden nugget, because that's how we always like to end this program. If you could leave our listeners with a golden nugget, Alina, what would that be?
Sure. I think it's what you just shared just a few minutes ago, that the 5-day challenges are simple, but they're not simplistic. And you need to understand what's going on behind the scenes versus just thinking, oh, all I need to do is put together 5 videos and I can have a profitable challenge. You will have a challenge, but that doesn't mean it's going to create the results that you want to create. Keep that in mind. There's a lot more psychology. There's a lot more beneath the scenes work that goes into creating a really amazing, successful, profitable challenge that engages your clients and puts money in your bank.
That's what we want, money in the bank, but we also want good clients to go with that.
Yeah.
Alina, you have been a real treasure. Thank you so much for sharing your treasures, your gems with us. Listeners, I think you're going to have to re-listen to this episode a few times to just absorb everything that was in here. This was so jam-packed full of delicious information. So thank you. And thank you all for taking time out of your precious day to listen to this interview. And I sincerely hope that it sparked some ideas you can use to sell more books. Here's wishing you much book and author marketing success.
The time is now to take action and finally build your book-selling empire. And the great news is that Susan is here to help you. Visit bookmarketingmentors.com and sign up for a free 15-minute book marketing strategy session with Susan. She'll help you discover your first steps to marketing and selling your book. Only those who take action are rewarded, so visit bookmarketingmentors.com, and we'll see you again next week.